Market and Charlestown Ransom. We're here when you guess.
We have the tools. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome in. Good evening, everyone, and welcome in. Check 3, 2, 1. One more time. Can you hear me now? I'm like that telephone commercial. Remember that guy that always walked around and had the cell phone?
He was Verizon, but now he's Sprint. I know you aren't.
No, I am. I'm Sprint. That's why I said I am him. Although I wasn't Verizon before. I was some off-brand. I don't remember what it was. Now I'm Sprint.
I find it hard to believe you would be some off-brand.
No, you don't. Not at all. That's Matt Crawford. I'm Matt Miller. We welcome you into the Friday evening show. Wow! A lot going on late on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Shepherd Rams are officially, I shouldn't go as far as this yet, so I'll take it back a step, have officially informed the Mountain East Conference that they intend to withdraw from the conference. Again, no official word from what we assume will be the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. No word yet from Shepherd, but on mountaineast.org at 3:30-something this afternoon, it became official that the Mountain East got word that Shepherd does intend to withdraw.
And earlier in the day, a reporter out of Charleston with the Charleston Gazette posting as well that they had gotten word. I don't know if that came through the Mountain East Conference or where it had come from, but that there would be some kind of an announcement. And then the Mountain East Conference putting out a statement on their website. I did just get a text message from the Shepherd Rams Vice President of Athletics, Chauncey Winbush, as we had reached out to him to see if he might be able to join us this evening with this very quick developing story. And his message back to me, sorry, but not making a statement at this point as the situation is still under review. Now, I don't know what that means, whether that's a review by the university or whether that is still some kind of a review within the Mountain East Conference and or some kind of a review possibly still in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. But there is the only thing that I have official, and that is the situation is still under review.
Well, wasn't it Shepherd had to apply to leave the conference and then had to get approval from all the other schools, correct?
I believe.
Wasn't there an approval or was that only if they wanted to leave early?
I was going to say, I think it may have all been based on timing. In our conversation with Commissioner of the Mountain East Conference, Reed Amos, I know that there were some penalties related to amounts of money that would have to be paid to the league in order to leave early. And depending on whether that was within 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, it was a different price range. I understand there's also a fee to get into the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. So there's some financial concerns as well as scheduling and other concerns.
Well, I'm just thinking that if they had to get the approval from, I remember that in some way, shape, or form, it may have been based on timing, but in one of the situations that we had talked to Chauncey about, there had to be approval from all the other schools in the conference. But again, I think that may have been if they wanted to leave early. But if it's not the case and you have to get approval regardless, that may be what the under review part is maybe getting approval from all the other schools.
We will wait and see. We'll continue to reach out to Chauncey Winbush and Shepherd University. We'll continue to reach out the first part of next week to the Mountain East Conference and even to the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. We'll do our due diligence to see if we can get more information on this situation. Obviously, there was the article by Rick Kozlowski in the Martinsburg Journal not long ago, just a few months back, where there had been a discussion. We won't call it an invitation, but there had been some form of a discussion with a team leaving the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference that their commissioner was kind of like, we'd like Shepherd. And so that kind of is what got the whole ball rolling down the hill, and it appears to be nearing the bottom of that hill, but still moving at a breakneck speed. This is a transition that, according to the Gazette, would not take place until next year. So it would be the fall of 2019, so that 2019/2020 academic and sports year is when this change would take place. So Shepherd right now, along with UVA-Wise, who will be leaving in 2019-20, would have 1 year remaining in the Mountain East.
So that's a hefty fund to leave. I can't remember. Do you remember the exact figures?
I don't.
Because Chauncey talked exact figures about the fees that would have to be paid to leave. I think it was $25,000, $50,000, and $75,000. It was something along those. It was in that ballpark of so.
Right, we're not talking millions like Division I schools or anything like that.
But you got to think. I mean, if they're only a year out now, that's a pretty hefty amount of money to get out of the conference that quickly. I mean, since the PSAC made it clear that they wanted Shepherd, I wonder if Shepherd could possibly afford to leave that soon. Maybe the PSAC's waiving the fee to get into the I mean, it's one thing if you leave your conference and go, all right, we want to move, we want to come to your conference, and have the PSAC go, okay, we'd like to have you, but the entry fee is X amount of thousands of dollars. If the PSAC publicly comes out and says our number one target to replace, who's the school that left?
I believe Cheney.
Cheney, yes. I knew it was a C. For some reason I kept wanting to say Cannon, but Cheney. So the PSAC comes out and says, all right, this school's leaving. You're number one on our radar. We want you. To me, that would be grounds to go, all right, you want us that bad and you want us to leave a conference we've been successful in? Waive the fee. That way we can put all the money towards leaving the conference we're in already. Again, that could be completely wrong. I'm just speculating, and I'm thinking that would make a little bit of sense and also financially make sense if Shepherd was willing to pay that extra money to get out earlier in the obligation.
Well, and I'm sure that Shepherd has to be looking at it from a savings standpoint that potentially could then be money going into the academics as far as scholarships, because the biggest thing that I hear is it's going to be harder for Shepherd to compete consistently in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference because many of those schools are better funded and therefore can give more scholarships and have more scholarship athletes. But Shepherd may be able to offset some of that lack of scholarship with the money savings that they'll make as far as the travel and the stay and so forth by moving into the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. You and I commented to each other. I don't think we ever brought it on mic here during Miller time, but it wasn't that long ago when UVA-Wise made their announcement official, and there was an article in the Gazette down in Charleston that laid out a case that was kind of like, it makes sense for UVA-Wise. After all, their closest rival was about 2.5 hours away in Concord, and I went, wait a minute, Fairmont State's about that same distance for Shepherd. Oh, and then there's this long trip that they got to make to, well, that's about the same for Shepherd going to UVA-Wise and or out to Urbana, Ohio. Oh, and then there was, and everything they laid out in this article that made good sense for why UVA-Wise was leaving had to make the same sense for the Shepherd Rams to leave.
Well, yeah, there were two outliers in the Mountain East. Really four if you consider the two Ohio schools. But they're closer to the Northern Panhandle and for Wheeling Jesuit teams like that, and are closer than they are to Shepherd and UVA-Wise, obviously. But again, the big two outliers were Shepherd and UVA-Wise. But within the state of West Virginia, Shepherd's in the state. So it's considered, all right, well, they're far away, but they're still within the state. UVA-Wise, it's easy to say that because, they're in a different state. They're in the bottom of Virginia. That makes a lot of sense. And you talked about funding. A lot of rumors that Shepherd has just started to get a little more funding as a school. And you got to wonder what the political ramifications are going to be with, which I don't agree with at all.
Right.
But you got to wonder with down in Charleston, the political ramifications of, okay, we have a team from West Virginia and they're the winningest team in the state at the college level when it comes to football, at least. And they're going to leave the Mountain East Conference to go play a bunch of schools from Pennsylvania. So you got to wonder what sort of funding and political ramifications, if any, that's going to cause a school. Again, it may not cause any, but I know that was
You're talking about the state of West Virginia here.
Yeah, but I know that was that was definitely something brought up multiple times with one of the reasons that Shepherd may wind up staying with the Mountain East.
Well, again, certainly you hope that it's not the case. You would hope that the state will fund the institution simply as it needs to and would any other state institution around the Mountain State. But again, we will wait and see. So one more time, if you missed it, we do have it on our Facebook page, along with the link to the Mountain East Conference, where they simply on their website late this afternoon put out a statement saying that they had been informed that Shepherd intends to leave. And then we got a late text here this afternoon from Chauncey Winbush, Vice President of Athletics at Shepherd, simply saying that he was not ready at this point to make a statement as the situation is still under review. We'll see what happens through the weekend and the first part of next week. Again, we'll check in and see if we can get more information. All right. We need to take a time out. We've got a special guest going to join us here in studio when we come back, as he just got back probably from a long trip to Charleston. Martinsburg head baseball coach Aaron Byler is next on Miller Time. For a flooring upgrade, Trips Floor Sanding and Berkeley Fashion Flooring does it all. From hardwood floor restoration to new floor installation, including hardwood, tile, vinyl, laminate, carpet, and the hottest trend in flooring, luxury vinyl tile and luxury vinyl plank. Family owned and operated with over 25 years experience, you can expect excellent customer service. Estimates are free. Call 304-229-7009 or online at tripsfloorsanding.com.
Thinking of trading your car for a new one? Consider donating your used car to the Good News Mountaineer Garage for a low-income family needing transportation to work or school. You get the maximum federal and state deductions allowed by law with your donation to the Good News Mountaineer Garage, and your car donation can really change the life of a West Virginia family. Call 1-866-GIVE-CAR or go online at goodnewsmountaineergarage.com. Good News is partially funded by the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown have been absent from Steelers OTAs this week. And according to NFL Network's Aditi Kinkhabwala, their absences are somewhat related. Kinkhabwala has learned Big Ben is actually on a family vacation. Explaining his no-shows this week, AB has stayed away because of his preference to work with his starting QB. The Steelers hold mandatory minicamp in mid-June. Meanwhile, the Chiefs held Kareem Hunt out of practice Thursday. Head coach Andy Reid saying it was due to a hamstring strain. Reid says he doesn't believe it's anything serious. Hunt led the league last year in rushing. And the numbers are in for Brandon Marshall's deal with the Seahawks. According to our own Tom Pelissero, it's a one-year contract for a little more than $1 million with a $90,000 signing bonus. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please call this toll-free number right now, 800-390-9528. That's 800-390-9528. By calling your addiction team, you're taking the first steps to recovery. The help you need could be one call away. 800-390-9528. Make the free call now, 800-390-9528. Your addiction team is a third-party advertiser for various treatment centers and placement networks. Individual results will vary. Visit youraddictionteam.com/terms for more information.
Napa know-how. Everyone could use less friction with staticky carpets, tight pants, and your engine. Thankfully, a 5-quart jug of Pennzoil Full Synthetic Motor Oil is $23.99 plus $10 mail-in rebate. It reduces friction, which means better performance. Pennzoil Full Synthetic, $23.99 plus $10 rebate. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. General States pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling.
The Hagerstown Suns are back. The 2018 season begins Thursday, April 12th. It's Thirsty Thursday, and the first 1,000 fans through the gates receive their very own magnet schedule. Fun continues all weekend long, wrapping up with Sunday Fun Day, where all kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game. We welcome in the Single A affiliate of the Orioles, the Delmarva Shorebirds, for a 3-game set beginning on Monday the 16th. A special 10:35 a.m. start on Wednesday wraps up the first homestand of the season. For more information, go to HagerstownSuns.com, and we'll see you at the yard.
This is Joe Ferretti of Hammer, Ferretti & Schiavone. The laws are changing drastically in West Virginia, and more than ever, you'll need an attorney with a reputation and a history of good results handling your personal injury claim. At my law firm, each attorney has at least 28 years of experience winning cases. Ask about our reputation and history of proven results. We know these comparisons will convince you to call Hammer, Ferretti & Schiavone at 264-8505. Call for a free meeting to discuss your case. And of course, you can find us on the web at hfslawyers.com.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time on this Friday evening along with Matt Crawford. I'm Matt Miller. If you're watching on YouTube and at WRNR TV, you now see joining us in studio Aaron Byler, head coach of the Martinsburg baseball team. Coach, thank you for taking a few minutes, especially after the long drive home. Get you to pull that mic right up on top of you. Yeah, the whole thing shifts. You can pull it down.
I think we got it.
So welcome back.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Sorry you're not still down there playing tomorrow. I know there's got to be disappointment. What's the first thing you guys kind of talked about in the outfield after this one?
You're disappointed. I just told him, how much I liked being around him and how much we enjoyed each other as a team. And, it's going to hurt, but, you hope in a couple of weeks when you look back on the season that, you do enjoy it. As 24 wins is a sectional championship and a regional championship, and that that's something to be proud of. Those seniors, they have everything to be proud of for that.
Is this everything you were expecting out of your first year? I know obviously every coach goes, yeah, championship was our goal, but first year at a new program for you, was this what you expected out of this season?
No, and I told you before, necessarily championship wasn't our goal. Championship, it was to get better, to improve, to compete every day. And I think we kind of took a group of individuals and we kind of made them a team and, made them want to play for each other. And so, it was a success.
How did you see this team getting better day by day from the beginning of the season right through yesterday?
They just kind of bought into what we were selling, and they just wanted to compete every day and they enjoyed being around each other. And, they're just a good group, and they wanted to work hard, and we had a little bit of success there at the beginning of the year. And, when that happens, they start to believe more and more each day.
You mentioned they compete every day. Take us into practice. How do these guys kind of compete? How do you as coaches, keep them competitive and bring out their best in a practice setting?
You just kind of make it known that the lineup's not set every day. If you're not going to perform and if you're not going to come to practice and do the right things, then you're somebody's going to replace you. Unfortunately for us, we had, people behind everybody in every position. We threw a bunch of different lineups this year. And, had 17 guys that contributed for us this year. So having that depth really helps with the competition and practice.
One of the quotes Matt and I used a lot during our game broadcast from you was, I think it was after the Musselman game it was after a loss. I forget. It was a home game for you guys, and we walked down and talked to you, and you said, man, when we lose bad. There was a couple points in the season that did you look at that team and go, man, there's no way we're going to be able to get a sectional title, a regional title, and get to the state semifinals?
I remember that game, and it was actually probably came at one of our lowest points in the year when we lost back-to-back games to Washington and Jefferson. It was after the Washington game where they beat us 17-3, and then we turned around and lost to Jefferson 10-3. And yeah, it was. You wondered if things were starting to go south on us a little bit, but again, I have never had any doubts in these kids and their willingness to compete and their want, and so they turned it around.
Speaking of that competition, take us through this game against Hurricane. I mean, you're playing a team that's won 32 games, a team that's been number one in the state according to those that rank those things during the course of the season. They were supposed to run away with this, and you wouldn't let them do it.
And I think they took us a little bit for granted. They started their number 3 guy, and I told the guys right off the bat, I said, let's have one goal right now, and that's to knock him out of the game, make him throw somebody else. And we got Noah Short, who's number 2 in the game. We knocked him out, and then they went with Blackwell. And again, our guys were prepared. I didn't think we were overmatched at all with him. I think we just made a couple base running mistakes, that cost us, and they got a couple timely hits. And fortunately, we didn't make a play there at the end of the game that probably extends it to the ninth.
Looking back at the long rain delay you guys had, do you think that messed with the heads of your players at all, having that time off, or you think it was the same on both sides and both teams came out ready to play ball?
I liked it. It was one of those adversity things where we've been dealing with adversity all year, and I liked it. And I think it relaxed our guys, to be quite honest. And kind of when you're the underdog, you want something kind of strange to happen. You don't want it to just go in there and kind of the game just play out, warm-ups, I think anytime something like that happens, whether it be a rain delay or, you have to make up a Saturday basketball game at 11 o'clock, and anytime something like that happens, I think it plays in the underdog's hands. And, our guys relaxed. It didn't affect us at all. And when the first pitch was thrown, we were ready to go.
It's got to be a thrill to play in a minor league ballpark like that. How do you kind of deal with that with your kids as you get down there? That look, we still got to go out and play a game. It's just we're playing at a nice facility.
Yeah, it didn't really affect them. They enjoyed being there, but I don't think the moment was too big for them at all. And yeah, it was a beautiful ballpark, but we kind of stressed just to go enjoy it. Just enjoy every moment because it doesn't happen all the time. So, and they did that.
Hurricane being not too far away, a lot of red-clad fans in the stands. You've talked about that adversity, and, did they kind of take to that as well?
Well, there was a lot of red. There's a lot of red in the stands, but as the game went on and that second game crowd kind of draw in, everybody else that was there, you kind of get the sense everybody else was rooting for us. So even though that there was a lot of red, we seemed to have a lot of support with, with the fans that we had there, obviously, but, kind of both teams in that second game were kind of rooting for us. You could feel it.
I hate to bring up a bad stat, but I listened to the game last night, and the fourth inning, you guys had left 7 guys on base. What made it? You guys seem to get runners on base pretty easily. What made it so hard to get across home plate?
Well, they had 10 walks and 4 errors. So, when they put us on, it was, more so by a walk. We didn't necessarily hit the ball over the field, but, the Blackwell kid's a good kid, and, he pounds his own, he throws his curveball for a strike, and, it's tough to get that timely hit. We had a few of them, but you're never going to get it all the time. But that kind of has been a problem for us all year with leaving guys on base. I honestly, I don't want to see what our total number is left on base for the year because it can't be pretty.
At the same time, here you are. You look at what you did just to win the regional. You lose that first game against Washington and come back and hold on for a 1-run victory at home, and then rally the way that you do to claim game 3 and win that championship. Then you go down and compete the way that you did against a very good Hurricane team. What does that mean for a pretty good group of guys that are coming back next year?
Yeah, they definitely went out there, competed, and we got a lot of good kids coming back. Ashton Stobbs, Grant Harmon, Nicholas Wright, Daryl Pope, Cam Burnett, Aaron Pearson. There's a good group there that's coming back with a couple JV kids that'll move up. And, yeah, I think the experience of playing in a regional championship and then being able to go to Power Park and play, I think that experience really helps us. Hopefully we'll work hard in the offseason, weight room, stuff like that. A lot of kids will play travel ball and things. But, we look to build on that for the future.
What was the message to those seniors after yesterday's game?
Yeah, it was tough, and I've only been with them for 1 year, but I feel like we've really established, a good bond with them. And any time that happens, it's your last game, and, it's tough. And I told them, I said, listen, you're not going to, you're not going to get over in a day. You're not going to get over in 2 days, but you're going to look back and you're going to remember it. And hopefully when you remember the senior season for you was positive, because I really enjoyed having them all. They're great kids.
What do you feel like this group of seniors and this team now has done to establish what you want to now build on?
Yeah, I think they laid the foundation. I think they got the excitement back in Martinsburg baseball. And, a lot of people that haven't came to games in a long time were out. And, they kind of know what we expect now. And I guess we kind of set the standard,
There you go. 24 wins, a trip to the state tournament for the first time since 2009, all in your first year. And now it's only up from here.
Yeah,
the pressure's on.
Pretty high bar you set.
Yeah. Well, the kids said it. Like I said before, the great group of kids, and give all the credit to the kids and the coaching staff. And it takes an army of people around you to be successful. So just hats off to all those people as well.
Coach Byler, thank you for your time all season long, and especially coming in here today after just getting back home. We'll get you back in over the summer and talk some big league baseball.
Hey, thanks, guys. We appreciate all you do for us.
Thank you. All right, we've got a break here at the bottom of the hour. We've got news, weather, and NBC Sports Radio update, and then yesterday's State in Sports History next.
CBS News update. President Trump says the June 12th Singapore summit is back on. Plans, he says, are coming together following his meeting this afternoon at the White House with one of Kim Jong-un's top lieutenants.
Kim Young-chol is the vice chairman of North Korea, highest-ranking U.S. official to visit the White House, and the first North Korean official to visit the White House in 18 years. Bill Clinton met with a military aide to the former chairman Kim during similar but failed diplomatic negotiations.
CBS's Ed O'Keefe says that Kim gave Mr. Trump a letter.
Another dramatic day at the White House with the president basically teasing not only the press corps, but arguably the world, saying that you'll have to show up in Singapore on the 12th to learn more, and saying that perhaps he would reveal the contents of that letter at a later time.
3 teams of officials in the United States, in Singapore, and the Korean DMZ have been working on preparations. CBS News Update, I'm Gary Nunn.
Local forecast. Weatherman Bob Kukin.
Still a few scattered showers working their way out of the eastern panhandle here this evening. Skies will be cloudy overnight tonight. Temperatures back to the upper 60s first thing tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we're cloudy. We've still got muggy air in place, and an approaching cool front will bring us showers and maybe a couple of thunder showers once again. Our forecast high upper 70s to near 80. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
Life is complicated, but your finances shouldn't have to be. At BCT, we simplify your financial life. Bank of Charlestown is a locally owned community bank with 7 conveniently located offices serving the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, Middleburg, Virginia, and their newest office in Hagerstown, Maryland. With over 140 years of experience, BCT is the tri-state area's choice for fast, convenient, and hassle-free banking solutions. Whether you are a high school senior looking for a student checking account, a college graduate purchasing a new car, a first-time home buyer, or investing for retirement, BCT has flexible solutions to fit your lifestyle. BCT is committed to providing everyday ways to simplify your financial life. Also, make sure you are following BCT on Twitter and Instagram at MyBCT or like their Facebook page to see how BCT reinvests local deposits back into the communities they serve. BCT, we simplify your financial life.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Kevin Love will not be suspended for leaving the bench area in the closing seconds, so he'll be able to play in game number 2. Speaking of game 2, Steve Kerr says Andre Iguodala is still doubtful, although he was able to practice and do a few things today. John Beilein from Michigan reportedly is interviewed for the Detroit Pistons head coaching job. A new start for Johnny Manziel. He's going to be in the CFL tonight, making his debut with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, although he is still the backup. A couple of signings, Derwin James with the Chargers and Minka Fitzpatrick with the Dolphins. And officially Eric Wood, who announced he was going to retire from the NFL, has been released by the Bills. So that is with the injury settlement. On the diamond tonight, 15 total games. I'm Keith Irizarry. It's NBC Sports Radio and the NBC Sports Radio mobile app.
L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you are a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
The Wellness Center at Berkeley Medical Center has introduced a 10-week sports-specific training program called SPEED for 12 to 17-year-old athletes. The goal of SPEED is to evaluate each individual athlete, assess their deficiencies, and design programs to improve the athlete's performance. The new program for young athletes includes strength and conditioning coaching from the Wellness Center pros, as well as the Technogym equipment. If you're interested in building a foundation of long-term athletic success and injury prevention for your athlete, contact the Wellness Center at Berkeley Medical Center.
We're back once again on Miller Time, brought to you by Brown Funeral Homes and Cremations. Robert Fields and Sons, a family-owned full-service funeral home that has proudly served our area since 1880. Matt Miller along with Matt Crawford. Before we get into our regular segment of yesterday's date in sports history, I do want to wrap things up as we were talking with Coach Byler. Martinsburg falling to Hurricane yesterday, 6-5 in 8 innings. A walk-off sacrifice fly was the game winner for Hurricane. Meanwhile, Wheeling Park got a shutout win over St. Albans, 1-0. The St. Albans pitcher threw a one-hitter and lost 1-0 as Wheeling Park scored the lone run of the game on an error. I did get a chance to see a video highlight of that. It looked like there were 2 runners on, and the runners had broken. Whether the ball was in the dirt, I don't know, or if it was a straight double-type steal. All I know is the catcher threw wide of the third base bag, and when it went out into left field, the runner was able to get back up and score the lone run. So it will be Wheeling Park and Hurricane for the AAA state championship, and that's 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, out of the Panhandle, Wayne and Frankfort. Wayne's not in the Panhandle, but Frankfort is. They're tied 6-6 going into the 9th inning in AA, and a little later on, it will be Moorfield in Single A taking on the top seed in Charleston Catholic. So good luck to those Panhandle teams.
That is tough to lose a one-hitter. They were talking during the broadcast last night. I think you were still downing some fried chicken at Cracker Barrel at this point, but they were talking about back in 87 when Jefferson beat Martinsburg. And I forget who the name of the pitcher was for Martinsburg because they said it real quick. And it was...
Was that Doug Creek?
Maybe.
Back in the day. I thought Doug Creek had a situation where he threw a no-hitter.
He threw a no-hitter, and Jefferson scored on a pass ball and won 1-0.
Yeah, I believe.
I mean, how many times has that happened? I was listening to Fred Persinger last night say, yeah, John Lowry Sr. really can win games in every way possible.
Well, when you've been around it for 46 years, you'll find some games that you can win in some strange ways. All right, let's get to our feature and find out what happened on yesterday's State in Sports History.
Well, first of all, it was your birthday, so we got to bring that up yet again. Yesterday was your birthday on
old news.
May 31st. No, we're talking about yesterday. But a couple years, probably only 1 or 2 before the year you were born, in 1859, the Philadelphia A's organized to play town ball. Matt, you played a good game of town ball before, right?
I think so.
You know, it became a little game called baseball.
Oh, nice.
20 years later.
Nice. So I heard about that when I was like 5.
Yes.
Since I was born only a few years after that, according to you.
Moving on down the list. Mickey Mantle. We talked yesterday about Joe DiMaggio almost hitting it out of Yankee Stadium. In 1956, Mickey Mantle just missed clearing the stadium roof at Yankee Stadium. Again, real power park Yankee Stadium. If you've listened the last 2 days, they're hitting them everywhere. 1964, the San Francisco Giants beat the New York Mets 8-6.
Okay.
Oh, it was in 23 innings. Game took 7 hours and 32 minutes. And that was in 1964. So it wasn't like all the commercial breaks and everything. That was a legitimate 7.5 hours. That's a game and a half.
Yeah, but still 23 innings? That's moving pretty decent.
Yeah. That's 2.5 games.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad for 7.5 hours. 1994. I'm sorry, let's move back to 1985. The New Orleans Saints are sold for $70 million. Now they are worth $917 million. Looked it up, some other numbers. The Redskins are worth $1.2 billion. The Cowboys are worth $2.1 billion. And in 1994, to round out yesterday and today's date in sports history, the Padres score 13 runs in the second inning versus the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh, had to bring that up. Sorry,
Sounds
Rob.
like one of our high school baseball second innings from this year.
I thought you were picking on Rob because he's picking on you as a Cubs fan.
I would never pick on Rob.
It was your guy charging into his catcher trying to break up the double play.
I did notice that he didn't mention that he was a Pirates fan in there anywhere. He just threw me under the bus for being a Cubs fan.
He brought that up this morning, just clarifying so everyone would know that in our Miller Time commentary, which is part of the morning programming with Rob Mario, weekday mornings from 6 to 8 a.m. before they get into Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave from 8 to 10. We now have the Miller Time commentary, where we talk about a little bit of anything and everything.
Including counting to the number 12.
Well, I know somebody that needs to learn to count, and it's Tristan Thompson.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, do you know who he is?
Yes, I know he's an NBA player, and he plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers and only scored 2 points last night in 20 minutes.
Yes, while grabbing 5 rebounds, turning it over once and committing 3 personal fouls. He was upset at the end of the game. In fact, got ejected at the end of the game for what, to me, I think an overzealous official had to call as a flagrant foul that frankly should have been let go and just end the game. But it was the Golden State Warriors beating the Cleveland Cavaliers game 1 of the NBA Finals, 124-114. I think the Cavaliers have a chip on their shoulder because nobody expects them not only to win, but to even be competitive. I mean, come on. ESPN, who is like the biggest spokesperson for the NBA in all the world, has articles and commentators out there saying this is the most mismatched final ever.
It's because the Cavaliers have one player. LeBron scored 51 points last night. If he scores half that and has a good night, say LeBron scores 30. That's a good night, isn't it? Yeah. Any level of basketball, you score 30 points, you're having a really good night. LeBron had one of his career best nights last night scoring, and that was the only reason it was a game at the end. Again, LeBron has half of what he had last night. It's not a game.
No, not at all.
So it's still a one-sided. You can look at the score from last night and go, oh, it's closer than it should have been. Yeah, that's because LeBron shot the ball 32 times and had a ridiculous night.
He does finish with 51 points. The game was tied 107-107 at the end of regulation, and the Cavaliers had a chance to pull the upset. What happened?
J.R. Smith got a little message in his ear that the NBA's rigged, and he needed to send the game to overtime so that ESPN could make more money on commercials.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Just dribble it out, man.
Yeah, well, he gets the rebound after a missed free throw by Golden State. A 5-year-old could have put the ball back up and in. He claimed Kevin Durant was in his way. Now, Kevin Durant was hunched over like the hunchback of Notre Dame. He could have very easily put that ball back up, or at least drawn contact putting the ball back up. So now the fact that he's blaming that for the reason he dribbled the ball out to the top of the key and then just dribbled the clock out with LeBron waving towards the clock and looking for the ball, and J.R. Smith's just kind of dribbling around in La La Land.
Okay, so what was the excuse? What did J.R. Smith say about the end of regulation?
Well, George shot the free throw. I got the rebound. We were tied ball game. We had a timeout, and I was trying to get enough space because I obviously just standing right there, trying to get enough space to bring it out to maybe get a shot off. And then I looked over at Brian. He looked like he was trying to call timeout, so I just stopped. And then the game was over.
All right, 2 things. One, I brought the ball out to try to get a shot. That is what's wrong with the NBA. He brought the ball out because he wanted a 3 at the buzzer, because that's a lot cooler than a floater in the lane at the buzzer. Am I wrong?
In this day and age, it's all about NBA, the 3.
It's all about I dribbled the ball out to try to get a shot. No, you had a shot. You had a shot right next to the basket, and you couldn't get it.
And a chance to get fouled, as you said earlier, even if you don't make that shot.
And if you look at the video, he talks about LeBron looking like he's going to call a timeout. LeBron never looked like he was going to call a timeout. Anthony, pull the microphone over. You watched the game last night. We're bringing in intern Anthony Bracken who watched the game. Anthony, did LeBron ever look like he was going to call a timeout?
He was in a mass state of panic. He had absolutely no idea what J.R. Smith was doing, and he was just like the look of disgust on his face whenever the final buzzer sounded. He was just like, oh, God, not again, J.R.
Exactly. You look at it, he may have been flailing his arms around, but in no way, shape, or form did it look like he was calling timeout.
So does this go back on Tyronn Lue as a head coach? I mean, if you've got a timeout left And you've got a star like LeBron on the floor. You've got Smith who gets the rebound and says, I was just looking to get some space, and then I thought somebody was going to call a timeout. It sounds like a lot of mass confusion. There was nobody in control.
Well, I think the head coach is thinking, okay, LeBron's wide open at the top of the key. J.R. Smith's probably just going to pass it to him, or J.R. Smith can call a timeout. Or maybe, why is he dribbling out from a wide open shot into the basket? To me, there's three options there where you didn't need to call a timeout and set a play up. And J.R. Smith decided he was going to do option 4, which was just dribble the ball out and go to overtime.
All right, well, they get into overtime, and, the Warriors outscore the Cavaliers 17-7 and go on for the 10-point victory. In all, LeBron James finishes with 51 points. His thoughts after the game?
I just try to do whatever it takes to help our team win, and try to be a triple threat out on the floor offensively, being able to score, rebound, and get my guys involved. So I just try to do that tonight.
Well, was it 8 rebounds along with 8 assists? So he talked about the 3 facets of the game. Clearly, scoring was the biggest one.
It was, but still 8 and 8 isn't a bad night.
No, not at all.
I mean, 2 rebounds and 2 assists away from a triple-double. So, again, he's carrying the team.
Yeah, Kevin Love, 21 points, the second leading scorer outside of 51 from LeBron James. So then we get to the end of the game, and LeBron and Steph Curry, who, by the way, led the Warriors with 29, kind of get into a little bit of a argument or a conversation, however you want to term it.
A childish scratching match.
There you go. And at the same time, the Warriors have the ball down the stretch there after a 3 had been made by the Cavaliers. So the shot clock is winding down, and there's a screen, a pass, a shot put up, 18 feet away, something like that. And that's when Tristan Thompson comes out to defend that shot and gets called for a flagrant, I believe flagrant 2, and immediately is thrown out. That then leads to, of course, Draymond Green being close by and probably saying something like, ha-ha. And
yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what he said.
I'm
thinking there was a few more adjectives thrown in there.
Giving you the radio-friendly version here. And then, boom, Thompson shoves the ball in his face, and a little more shuffling occurs, scuffling, shuffling, whatever. I mean, they just kind of stood around and looked at each other for the most part. But in the end, this was what Thompson had to say.
Contested a shot that shouldn't be taken. I mean, it's like the unspoken rule in NBA. And if you're up by like 10 or 11, like 20 seconds below go, you don't shoot that shot, but I just had a contest, and next thing you know, I'm getting thrown off for a good contest that we practice in training camp to test every shot. So I don't know why I got thrown out.
All right, Thompson, I'll give you that. I agree with the last part of your statement. I'm not real sure why you were thrown out either. I had to watch the replay a couple of times to really get the idea that he did throw, I believe it was the left elbow, into the rib cage of the shooter as he went out to contest that shot. So at the last moment, he kind of had the forearm out, and there didn't seem to be a lot of contact, maybe a little bit. I think it was overzealous officiating at that moment in time.
It was. I think the refs wanted to have some sort of impact on the game.
Yeah, because the game was decided. All you got to do is let that go. The shot came off the rim, and it would have been rebounded by the Cavaliers, and boom, time would have run out.
My question is, what unspoken rule is he talking about?
Well, the unspoken rule that if you're up by 10 or 11 and there's less than 20 seconds, you don't shoot.
Is that an unspoken rule? I get maybe in September that may be an unspoken rule, but in the finals, I'm sorry, if the shot clock's running out and I have the ball, I'm putting a shot up.
Well, and there to me is part of the point. He says 20 seconds left. Well, but wait a minute. The three-pointer by the Cavaliers was made with, what was it, about 28, 29 seconds left, so that after the inbounds, there was still going to be 5 seconds left when the shot clock would have expired. So he expects the Warriors to just not take a shot as the shot clock was expiring. The only reason the Warrior player went up for the shot was because the shot clock was going to expire, or I'm sure they would have dribbled it out. So the NBA rules kind of put them in that situation. And by the way, Tristan, let's go back to our Sesame Street conversation on our morning debate, so to speak. Tristan, you said the unspoken rule is a 10 or 11-point lead. It was only 8. It was only 8 at that time. It only became 10 because of the flagrant foul and you're being ejected and then what came after that. Otherwise, it was still an 8-point game. I don't have a problem.
Should we take him back to Reggie Miller knocking down 3 threes and
against the Boston Celtics back in the day? Are you kidding me? Or was that the New York Knicks? I'm trying to think of which one he did it against.
It wasn't the Celtics.
Yeah, I think it was the Knicks when he hit those 3. But anyway, I just don't get it. It's an 8-point game in overtime. I think it's just crybaby.
And the way people are shooting threes in the NBA, it's not that unrealistic. Maybe knock down a 3, get a turnover off the inbound, knock down another 3, and then get them on the foul line. To me, that's not that unrealistic in the NBA.
Look, I know I can't play basketball with a group of guys I play with on Sunday evenings. I already recognize that. I'm thankful they let me come out and just get some exercise. So I have a hard time, giving too much criticism to a guy that is talented enough to play in the NBA. However, when you're a guy that scores 2 points and grabs 5 rebounds in 20 minutes of play, I don't think you got an opportunity to speak at the end of the game about unwritten rules when it was an 8-point game. Look, you lost. Suck it up. You lost and go on to the next game.
Well, it's his way to get on camera.
He did.
His stats weren't enough to get a post-game interview, so let's bring something up that's going to get me on our right. He did it. He did what he wanted to do. We played that clip. He was probably on TV all over ESPN today.
Well, and maybe he's trying to fire up his team in some way, too, to get some other guys to step up besides
How does
LeBron.
talking about an unwritten rule fire up anybody?
I don't know. Maybe he was contesting the shot at the end, and that was, who knows?
Yeah, but he was complaining about having to contest the shot.
Either way, by the time they play game 2, it's all going to be forgotten because they're not playing until Sunday. Let's see, today's Friday, and then there's Saturday. And
that's what the NHL is doing.
No. The NHL is only doing that when they're moving from city to city. They're
You're
still
right.
going to be in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. So Golden State's still hosting game 2, so we're going to sit around and wait until Sunday night to play game 2? Why?
I'm glad I finally got you on my anti-NBA bandwagon. It took long enough, but now you're starting to see the true colors of the NBA.
Well, we got to get in a final timeout. Look out. We have got one break to take, and then we're back to talk a little Major League Baseball next on Miller Time.
Howdy, cowpokes. Do your business cards look like they were designed by a code broker? Well, this cowboy knows the advantage of dealing with folks the old-fashioned way. When you order printed material on the internet, you're stuck with what you get. But when you need printed material to look just right, you want to deal with folks you know. And that's what you'll find at Panhandle Printing and Design. Local folks that have been delivering results for years. They can help with everything from design to production of stationery envelopes, business cards, invitations, vinyl signs, banners, vehicle wraps, and a lot more. They can answer all your printing questions, and you can call them on the phone or hop on your horse and go see them, because they're your one-stop printing shop where they have something for everyone. Panhandle Printing and Design at 124 North Maple Avenue in Martinsburg. Call 304-267-7400. You can even find them online, too, if you want to. If you need printed materials, don't deal with some city slicker you'll never meet. Trust the folks at Panhandle Printing and Design.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
Come out and join members of the West Virginia University Mountaineers baseball program as they come to the Eastern Panhandle to host a traveling camp June 13th at Oakesdale Park, home of Martinsburg Little League. This camp will feature fundamental skills in hitting, infield, catching, pitching, and base running. It runs from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday, June 13th. Cost is $50 per player, and you'll be able to register at WVUcamps.com. Again, that's WVUcamps.com.
The Mountaineers live on Talk Radio WRNR.
It's intercepted. Here's Kenny Robinson down the right sideline. It's going to be a foot race. He's at midfield. He's to the 40, being pursued. He gets away to the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. End zone. Touchdown. Kenny Robinson, 94-yard pick six.
Follow the Mountaineers all fall long on their quest for a Big 12 championship on your home for Mountaineer football. Talk Radio WRNR, the Panhandle Sports Radio station.
Well, Super Mario music there. So you, Mario, I'm Luigi? Is that how
See, I always liked Luigi more.
All right, so we'll
I was a Luigi guy.
All right.
I'll let you be Mario.
I'm the little dragon guy. What was his name? Oshi? Something?
No, it wasn't. It was Yoshi.
Yoshi.
A Y. Yeah.
A Y in the front.
Yeah, Yoshi.
Yeah. I like Yoshi. I'm terrible at all those kind of games.
So I'm halfway decent.
Video games, and not that I'm good at them, but a sports video game would be the one that I would try to play. Now, the controllers have 17,000 buttons that you're using.
They do not.
You're using every finger and thumb to do something.
You're not using.
You know, now you're clicking
You're not
buttons.
using your
so
ring
that
finger or your pinky on either hand.
He spins.
You're
and,
using
and he
these.
knee kicks, but you got to be
Those
careful
three
with any
fingers on each
fumbles or Anyway, it's way too much going on.
Hey, Tigers at 5 under, just in case you care.
Tiger who?
Yeah.
Oh, Tiger Woods. That's right. They are playing golf at the huge tournament.
They're in Dublin,
Ohio. Yes. So, yeah, Tiger has had a couple of really nice shots as we have had that on the TV here in the studio. Still not ready to say he's back yet, just because of where he was.
Come on, that eagle was pretty nice.
It was. It absolutely
and
was.
Look at that shot.
But again,
his approach shots today are ridiculous.
They have been right on or right near the pin. So.
All right, let's get to baseball before we run out of time.
Baseball, minor league baseball. Let's start with the Hagerstown Suns. Rained out yesterday, 8th time this season, but it's the first time they're going to actually miss a game. They've been able to make up the others in double headers, but Hickory and Hagerstown don't meet again during the first half of the season. So yesterday's game is just going to be dropped from the schedule. Hagerstown back on the road. They're at Kannapolis tonight. Game time 7:05. On to the big leagues and our Washington Nationals. All right, you said yesterday the Nats had regained first in the NL East. They were going to hold on to it. Wait a minute. They went to Atlanta where the Braves were only a half a game back. Game 1 of the series goes to
the Braves.
4-2 the final.
Anthony Rendon had a good night, though.
He did. Let's hear it.
First RBI gave the Nats a 1-0 lead.
Now the 3-1. Rendon swings and hits into the air to left field. Coming up on it is Tucker, the left fielder, makes the catch. Turner tags. He'll come down the line to score as the throw comes in, cut off by the third baseman, Camargo. Harper holds at second. Rendon with a sacrifice fly and a run batted in, his 16th of the year with the first out of the inning. The Nationals use a couple of walks, a couple of stolen bases to get on the board. It's Washington 1, Atlanta 0.
A little later in the game, Rendon would end up tying the game at 2.
Swanson a step or two out of the baseline as the first pitch is lined to right, and that's a base hit. In from third is Trey Turner. Anthony Rendon, his second RBI of the night, his 17th on the season, and the Nationals have tied the game at 2 on a line drive to right field.
That would be it. The only offensive highlights. Tanner Roark takes the loss as the Nationals fall a half a game back of the Braves, who are back in first atop the National League East. By the way, Philadelphia in third, 1 full game back, and then the Mets are fourth at 5 games back.
Tight race.
It is. It's going to be fun.
It will. Assuming everything stays this way, I'm not so sure this isn't going to be a runaway for the Nats at some point after the All-Star break, but right now it's tight.
And you still got to give it to the Braves. The Nats had won 6 in a row going into this one.
Or had lost 6 in a row, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, we did get an email earlier from the Nationals organization with the highlights, and somebody had faux pas on it that they had a 6-game losing streak snapped by losing again. No, it was a 6-game winning streak. But, hey, nonetheless, the Nationals back in action against the Braves tonight, and so we'll see how that one plays out. All right. Anything else to talk about?
No. Belmont's next weekend, so we're off with horse racing this weekend.
Stanley Cup Finals Game 3 tomorrow night, though. Join us here at 7:45.
Go Caps.
That does it for Miller Time.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. Police found the SUV on its roof down a steep embankment off Giles Mill Road in Inwood Wednesday afternoon, and 3 people had to be hospitalized as a result. One of them had been thrown from the vehicle. They're still investigating. It could either be home confinement or a decade in jail for a Winchester man for causing a head-on collision while driving drunk. Unielkis Noah of Palm Springs, Florida, admitted to the crime, which